evening, wherever you're listening from. My name is Kalu Aja, and welcome to another exciting Money Spaces with me today. Today we have a kind of a different topic, I would say. We want to talk about the Nigerian census, more specifically the census. We want to relate that to, say, development in Nigeria, right? Why is the census important? Why should we know how many people live in Nigeria? What's the implication of the connection to a census, to national development, to investment, and of course to your pocket? We want to basically talk about that really, just so we could have a conversation. It's the end of the year, it's December, we've got five Saturdays. And I think it's a very, very good topic that we really don't talk about, right, or understand the importance of it. More especially as we have a census coming up in 2023, right? So I think it's something we should talk about, understand the issues, and then, let me hear your thoughts when you guys hear my own take. But first, if you guys will allow me, give me about 10 minutes just to lay out the land, right? Let me give you the data. A few facts I want us to consider, right? So the last census, let me just say, the report I did, which I published, right? I stopped as at 2026 census, right? So the 1991 census, I stopped there, right? 1991 census. So let me just give you data. In Nigeria, right, we've had lots of census done. Even before Nigeria was created, the first real census that we had was in 1952. This was well before 1960, when Nigeria was a country. So we had a census in 1952, right? And all the census done in Nigeria from 1952 all the way to 1991 have really been controversial. All of them, right? All of them. Even the 2006 census is the same numbers, and you find out why it's being controversial when I start to give the numbers. So why is it being controversial? I mean, it was so bad that I think one or two were cancelled. The 1973 census was cancelled, and I believe the 1991 census was cancelled as well, right? So because there are just so many issues with the census, and when you look at the numbers, you understand that really we have nothing that we're actually doing. We're just really not getting this right. We had a former chairman of the Nigerian Population Commission, right? And he said, and I'm quoting him, this is Festus Odimego, and I'm quoting the chairman of Festus Odimego. He says, these figures, i.e. Nigeria's figures, are just guesstimates. Nobody knows whether the population of Nigeria is 120 million, 150 million, or 200 million. No Nigerian, not the Nigerian Population Commission, the UN, the World Bank. He says these figures are not real. This is the chairman of the National Population Commission, and he was reacting to the 140 million numbers that we had in 2006. This statement got him fired because he said that no one really knows that these figures are real or not real. He got fired. That's a Festus Odimego, right? Because he basically challenged his own numbers published by the Nigerian Population Commission that says that Nigeria in 2006 had about 140 million Nigerians. So more men, about 71 million men and 68 million women. The main controversy you always have with the census is between Kano and Lagos, right? Who has more population? The 2006 census basically says Kano has 9.4 million inhabitants. That's the word they use, inhabitants, 9.4 million. And Lagos just has 9 million inhabitants. So Kano is more populated than Lagos. Of course, Lagos rejected the results of this census, right? Lagos did their own census, and Lagos says they have 17.5 million inhabitants. This is from 2006, right? So Lagos says, no, we don't have 9 million. We have 17.5 million, right? So Lagos and Kano are disagreeing. There's a research done by, it's called Africa Polis, right? They're an arm of the EGO police, right? They essentially just look at them as the guys that count. They do this independent census estimates or population estimates, right? They said, so this is the Africa Police, at the African arm of EGO Police. They said, according to their numbers, that the 2006 census for Lagos for around 9 million was reasonable. So they say, yes, we think Lagos has about 9 million, right? And that the 17 million figure that Lagos did on their own was overblown. But they also said that the Kano numbers at 9.4 were also inflated. So they're saying, Lagos, yes, you have 9 million, but Kano does not have 9.4 million. So just to recap what's going on, guys, we've done census. About 2 have been cancelled since even before Nigeria was created. It's always been controversial. I'm just giving you guys just the 2 main controversies between Lagos State and Kano State, who has more population. But let me also give you just the numbers, like to show you guys that this whole idea of a census in Nigeria has been a big joke, right? So from 1952 to 1991, if you run the numbers of the census numbers by state or by region or by whatever you want to do it, right? The states that you call the northern region, so in 1960, where you had the northern region, right? Those states combined together have maintained 54.1% across the population from 1952 to 1991. Note my words, I haven't changed it. Those states have maintained 54.1% population in every census from 1952 to 1991. Similarly, for the Western region, the states you call the Western region, they have maintained 18.7% population from 1952 to 1991. So like Lagos State, for instance, the population of Lagos State has not grown. The population of Kano has not grown. It's the same number, 54%, 18.7%. What about the East? The East has got 22.7% average from 1952 to 1991. So just so you guys are following what I'm saying, this is not my figures, this is from the Nigerian Population Commission. In 39 years, according to the Nigerian Population Commission, from 1952 to 1991, all regions in Nigeria have grown at the same pace. All. So the North has grown at the same pace, Lagos has grown at the same pace, Aba has grown at the same pace. There is no rural to urban shift in Nigeria. So whatever the population you had in Lagos in 1952 is the same population, not the numbers, guys. The percentage growth has been the same in Lagos and Jos from 1952 to 1991. The same way with the East. The population numbers you had in the East has been the same from 1952 to 1991. No change, no movement from the hinterland to the coast, no migration, same birth rates, same death rates from 1952 to 1991. Hence, you can see why Festus Odimegu, the chairman of the Nigerian Population Commission, basically essentially said that no one really knows how many people live in Nigeria. So you're going to say, okay, what about the latest census that was done in 2006? Same thing. The Southwest retained 19%. The East remained 26%. And the North remained at 52%. The magic figure in Nigeria is the 52% that is in the North. Look at any indices you want to look at, number of states, number of local governments, number of elected folks. 55% is a number you'd find across the North, and you'd always find the West at 19 or 20%. So the point I'm trying to make, guys, if you haven't followed, is that census in Nigeria is really about allocation of numbers. It's not about the count. You do the count, but it's allocated. And again, these are not my figures. This is the Nigerian Population Commission's figures from 1952 to 2006. And you can go offline now, pull up the same figures, run the percentages. Remember, I'm saying northern region, western region, eastern region. Count the states there, add them up, do your census, and do a percentage score. No movement. So folks don't live more in Lagos than Jos. The same population in Lagos is what we had from 1952 to 2006 by percentage. So it makes no sense whatsoever. But why is it so, guys? Why do you think this is so? Why have the numbers not changed? Well, the same thing in the US and in Nigeria. Population determines a lot. In the US, if you have more population, you get more House seats. So if your population grows, your number of seats in the House of Representatives grows. Same thing in Nigeria. But Nigeria takes it a lot further than the US. In Nigeria, the population on what we call the horizontal allocation for FAC revenues. So let me just make sure I slow down and say that in Nigeria, any revenues generated by Nigeria goes into an account called the Consolidated Revenue Fund. Any revenues that you make, oil sales, exports of cocoa, VAT, VAT, let's keep VAT aside, corporate income taxes, petroleum income taxes, all the revenue Nigeria makes goes into this Consolidated Revenue Fund. What we normally use call colloquially FAC, right? So it goes into revenue fund, then it is shared during FAC, all the revenues. So how are these revenues shared? They have what we call the vertical, then we have what we call the horizontal. On the horizontal sharing model, population is 30% of the sharing formula in Nigeria. 30%, right? So what that means is this. If a state has more population, that state gets 30% of whatever has been collected in Nigeria from the sale of crude oil, from the taxing of corporate income tax. Maybe we tax MTN, we sell oil blocks, whatever we do, right? We get 30% from population. You're going to say, well, it's just 30%. The other 70%, right, is there. Let me give you the other 70%. Equality of states is 40%. I don't know what that means, but every state shares 40%, right? Land mass is 10%. So already you are at 50% already. So what I'm just telling you is this. If I am a state, I already have 40%. If I'm a big state by land mass, I already have 10%. So I already have 50% already in my corner. If I have more people, then I get 30%. You know, we're prorating, right? So you get 40 plus the 30 plus the 10. That's give or take about 80% from doing nothing. The revision is 10%. That's what it's called the internal revenue effort, is 10%. Education, 4%. Health, 3%. Potable water and the rural areas, 3%. So what Nigeria has told the governors is this. If you want to get money from FAC, have more children. You don't have to educate them because education is just 4% of how you get the money. You don't have to provide health care. It's just 3%. You don't have to provide potable water. It's just 3% as well. I'm quoting the horizontal allocation of how we share the Consolidated Revenue Fund, guys. That's what's going on in Nigeria. So when you see the governors fighting over the census, because when you see Kano and Lagos, not just fighting, but conducting their own census. This is what it's all about, guys. Because if you have more people in your state, you get more of that 30%. So what it then means is that Nigeria has a funny sense that it's just a waste of money, really. We just count, then we allocate, and those numbers tend to follow those percentages I've quoted for you. And if you're just joining, I'm going to give you those figures again. The North will maintain 54%, the West will maintain 18%, and the East will maintain 22%. That's what it's been from 1952 to 2006. Again, not my numbers, the numbers from the Nigerian Population Commission. So when we then talk about national development, let's bring this home. When we talk about national development, you then see that in economics and business, whatever you want to improve, you measure, and then you measure it, and then you incentivize that activity. If you own a company and you want to get a lot of sales, what do? You measure sales, then you pay your highest employee, employees that have higher sales, a higher salary. In Nigeria, because we measure population and we pay more for population, then we have more kids out of school because we incentivize the governors to have more children, but we don't incentivize the governors to build schools, hospitals, or potable water. A long time ago, there was a governor in Kano State, I think it was Balarabe Musa, and even Shehu Shagari, the former president of Nigeria, they proposed a formula to change the allocation and to do education as a higher number to share in the FARC, to take education more than the 3%, to make it a lot higher. They got impeached and they got thrown away in a coup. That is the problem we don't talk about as much in Nigeria, this issue of how we are structured to fail, because we are rewarding just the numbers and not what the numbers do. Population is supposed to be an advantage. What makes Lagos State have a key advantage in Nigeria, apart from the ports and the airport, is that it has a lot of people living in Lagos. So there's a ready market. If you want to start any business, you prefer to go to Lagos because you have the market there in Nigeria. There are more people in Lagos than many countries in West Africa. So it's a no-brainer. But if you have a small town like Gombe, Gombe is number one state in Nigeria for the ease of doing business. That's Gombe. Gombe has the best policies and laws in Nigeria to do business. But if you go to Gombe, even if you have the best product, even if you sell 100% of what you sell in Gombe, you're not selling up to one local government area in Lagos. So population is an advantage. But if you don't know how many you are, you cannot plan, you cannot allocate, and most importantly, you are rewarding the wrong things. In Nigeria, we are rewarding numbers of people and not investments in those people. Guys, I'm done. Doja wants to speak. If you want to speak, guys, hop right in. Let's talk about the figures. I have more, but let's just have you guys hop in and then speak. Mr. Doja, how are you doing today, Mr. International? How is your morning going?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Carlo, is always very nice, to be on your space, very educational.
Thank you.
In fact, I was having a very nice time, just bantering with you in the DM about those issues I think are pertinent to Nigeria. Nigeria is such a unique country, and you are right when you say how many Nigerians live in Nigeria. I think for me, if you ask me, and this is me being very honest, because I'm not speaking based on what they tell me, what the census says, I'm speaking based on what I've experienced personally. I schooled in Katsina State, Daura to be precise. I spent at least 2 of my secondary school years there at the Federal Government College there. I served up when I didn't count it. I look at the population in Nigeria, what's the kind of population they claim Katsina as, and I lived there. I saw the people. And I came to the realization that Nigeria as it's currently structured is an elaborate scam. And what do I mean by that? When I see the millions, allocated to Katsina, the honest truth is I can't see the people. I went all around Katsina, just on this adventure, just to be sure that these people, these millions of people, are they actually existing? I went to Funtua. Apart from Funtua, I went to Bakuria, where pretty much I went around. And I can tell you for free that you are right when you say this is a resource allocation graph. And what do I mean by resource allocation graph? These populations are inflated for elections, they are inflated so that they can corner more resources from, when it comes to the allocation of resources. And by the time I even looked at a lot of the projects that were even going on there, you'd be shocked because those resources, you don't really see them on ground. Majority of the projects I saw there were federal government projects. Every single thing there, it was more like federal government was having a charity case, and that state was a charity case, and they were trying their best to establish an appendage of every single agency and department in that casino. And I couldn't understand it because there's no economically viable reason for what they were doing.
And Georgia, let me ask you a question.
Apart from the fact that there was no economically viable reason,
I hear you.
not see the correlation of some of the departments that were put there. Like I would see something that had to do with water. That's NPA. There's no water in Katsina. That's the desert. So I agree with the topic that the census is important, but I feel the census needs to change. Probably instead of doing the census the way they normally do it, maybe we should use the BVN, maybe we should use phone numbers, maybe we should use existing things. But you shouldn't be able to be counted.
Doja, were you surprised to hear that from 1952? This is before Nigeria was created. So the British, when the British did the census, it was already faulty. When the British did the census, it was already faulty. Then the Nigerians simply took the census figures from 1952 and did not change it. From 1952 to 2006, what the Nigerian government is telling us is that Lagos State, the population has remained the same. What I mean the same, I mean by percentage. So it has only grown by 22%. But the North as well has also grown at the exact same pace. So in Nigeria, the North, the West, the East have grown at the exact same pace, population-wise, from 1952 to 2006. It's that these figures stay here. It's laughable, and it just like I said, it's an allocation. They count, then they allocate. This is the numbers. I didn't make the numbers up. Like I said, go out, get the NPC numbers, pull it up, and do your percentage. Georgia, I think I lost you, and you see what I'm talking about there. It's astonishing. Georgia, I lost you a bit. Daniel, what's up with you, man?
Good evening, Carlo. Good evening, everyone. I think I just have to agree with what Georgia was basically saying, which is basically my point. I think we have an antipathy to data. And of course, number is one of the problems that we do have. And it's not surprising that when budgets are being drawn up, the concentration of numbers, the sincerity of those numbers are not being put into consideration. I can tell you, when I was doing research here in River State, we were trying to provide a particular number for the health and education agencies as per government had a plan to, so they actually asked us to go out and get some numbers. And now the first step to doing that was to provide the procedures to get these numbers. And we are actually directed to go to some places to source out for these numbers instead of what we provided that should be the means to getting these numbers. But that's on the side. So we went to hospitals, to basically get out the people who die every day, the persons, the kids who are born. The hospitals themselves do not have a proper data, accurate database. The schools themselves, they do not have a proper database. Even workplaces as well, and government organizations, you're going to see people who are not probably existing and all that. That made it difficult for us to get accurate numbers, and we cited this in our document, and it still wasn't taken into review. Now, in that particular document, as one of the issues we raised, that when it comes to even down to security, right? Because when you talk about security, we want to talk about how best can security be done. People might point to gadgets, technology, and all that. But the most important persons are the personnel. Those are the people that give the training. Those are the people that activate whatever plan the security structure has been provided. And then we realize that even the security agencies within themselves, they don't have an accurate numbers as regarding their staff. So when police officers die, you call the PRO to find out what exactly they don't know. They don't know the particular situation that's happening. So I think we have this antipathy to people because once that can be sorted out.
Are you sure it's Daniel? Are you sure it's an antipathy to data, or that we actually have the data but then change the data? Because let me twist something for you, Daniel. If you take the Western number and you swap it out for the Northern number, it has to make some sense. If you take, because Lagos State, right, like I told at the very top, Lagos and Kano both had 9 million and 9.7. Lagos did their own census and got 17 million. Africa Police says, no, you're wrong. You are actually 9 million. Then they downgraded Kano's population from 9.7. If you look at BVN, like someone has said, look at BVN, or look at motor vehicle registration, or look at births, or look at maybe cell phone usage, there are many proxies to population that you can use in Nigeria to give you not the exact population, but a sense of where there are population centers. Not cars per hour. If people don't drive cars, just their satellites can take a picture of a place and tell you how many people live in that particular area. So the numbers look like we actually get the data, but we just don't want to use it.
I'm sorry that I have to disagree with you there. And if one of the easy pointers to, make reference to what I'm trying to say is that have a conversation with someone, draw up the numbers. There's a likelihood that the person is going to tilt towards their sentimental sentiment when it comes to either their religious lining or whatever lining you want to use, either religious, ethnic, whatever. That comes first before the actual numbers. That's one. Two, the procedures for actualizing these numbers are not properly even debated or put in place. So I think that the unwillingness to sort out these two issues is a clear indication of activity to Peter.
Yeah, and again, just make the point, right? Let me take this home again. Lagos State, we all know Lagos State, the population of Lagos State has more than quadrupled from 1960. Every Nigerian is in Lagos, every Nigerian. You can see the strength of assets in Lagos. It is unusual, or should we say, burden on fraud to say Lagos State's population should remain the same. If we got this correct, that would mean Lagos would then get more federal speaker slots. It would get more allocation of resources from the federal government to do more projects in Lagos. The census should reward or should take into account population shifts. It's not. This is my point. Because the southwest, the south is the southwest, the southeast, even the north numbers have been frozen in time. So Nigeria is planning with the data of 1952 that was done by the British. That's what's going on. And this is really my point. I want to get to that. Unless we critically take this up, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano, those growing cities that you have just will keep on suffering because they have huge population, but no federal funds to take care of them. Aki, what's up with you, man? Jimmy Akinrobola, you've got the floor, sir.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. The first thing I want to talk about is let us look at a general view of what census should do first, and let us not just box ourselves into the Nigerian thinking. So let's start from the home front. If you have a car, you want to move your family from point A to B, you need to know how many family members are going to where you are going, and then how many seats you have that can take them there. So basically, census is to be able to organize our society and plan for now and future. To have a sustainable, organized, livable society, to know the number of people living there and that will live there in the future, whether in the next 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. Yeah. But the problem, just like some speakers have said previously, is that on the path to independence, the British, they obviously knew that the struggle for independence is here, and those who have helped them to colonize and take over the protectorates, which were from the northern Umeng, they need to compensate them and ensure that they have the bulk of say in governance of the country looking forward. So from 1952, they started padding the numbers. And the first election that was held, even they claimed themselves because voters were more than people who live in northern protectorate then. So that's there. But the major thing is that if the Nigerian system is first decentralized and each state look forward to catering for their people, catering for the society, organizing, making life livable, then that will help. Forget about what you get from federal government and things. I mean, getting things from federal government is good, but it will not take the country anywhere because federal government is so far away. I mean, in Nigeria, I've also been have the opportunity to travel through road from east, from the west, east, and up north, all the way to Maiduguri by road. I mean, that was when Nigeria was still very good, though. And you get traveling in Benue axis, you travel for hours, and you just see huge landmass. Occasionally, you just see kids playing pond of waters and sometimes cows and cattle. Some places in Adamawa, Bauchi, that even if for the next 400 years, if a child is born today, they will not know what is electricity and civilization. How can government that is federal plan for such people? It's not possible. But if the state have the reasonability of counting people in their own place so that they know how many people are dying, how many people are alive, how many women do we have, how many men do we have, and then even from census, you will be able to know what are the common diseases that affect your area. How often people give birth? How many people or how many families do we have? How large they are? You'll be able to start to plan in terms of the clinics, the hospitals, where to put the money you have more and where to spend less.
That's a question.
And then,
let me say, do you think that which one comes first? If you have, take Lagos for instance, if you have more population, right? Should that attract federal funds? And federal funds make Lagos a more habitable city?
No, I don't agree. You know what I don't agree is that we have seen this issue of sharing and sharing and sharing. It has not worked. What happened is that some people, even when the money gets to the state, people who are supposed to who are supposed to benefit, they don't know if there is anything that has been allocated, if the money is there, if it's not. Few people, they just collect, they push it, they share it, and everybody keeps meals. There's only problem if federal government maybe have collected the fund and then release it to a state where there is under the governors of an opposition. Then that's when you see the governor raising their voice.
I hear you.
But when the money comes in, it has never been very productive. Only productivity we see that's a bit minimal, was when they have the military governors from Micah Higbe, from Bode George, those states.
Interesting.
From Bubamawa, you understand? That is where you see it, because it is military. They use decree. They don't need, and they are alone and they are deputy. They can steal enough and then do what they want to do a bit in the environment, and then they move on. In fact, the local government was even more active then, because federal government released money directly to the local government, even though they were using some administrators. And the sole administrators were from those communities. Led there by the federal government. So the sense there is that the federal government is aware that sole administration, if it's in that environment, is answering to the people and then they always work in tandem with the others because the presidency then, I mean, the head of state, they need cooperation of all those.
I hear you. Well said. I hear you. Again, good points. I think you made some good points there. Again, I just feel that the whole idea of the census is to allocate resources, even if it's going to be wasted, right? It still must be allocated.
Yeah, what I mean is that not from federal government.
Yes, but the federal one itself has to be allocated.
It can help the state. It can help the state to generate funds. Let's, for example, the Lagos state will be able to determine
I got
employment. Those employment that those who are employed that migrate from Ogun State to Lagos State every year, right? And goes back every day. They'll be able to even track where I live.
Yeah, I got you. I want to get
calculation in the world, right? And what makes it possible is because of knowing the numbers in terms of people, where you live, how you move, how you migrate. I mean, where I live, America doesn't have the kind of data that we have.
Okay. All right, Akin. Thank you so much. Akin, get others in. You don't mind? Get others in.
Okay,
super. Thank you so much for that contribution. I appreciate that. Yeah, I got Gospel. Gospel, how you doing?
I'm well, Carlos. Good evening. Thank you very much. Interesting conversation.
How you doing? Did you hear the numbers I quoted at first? 2006, the population numbers have not changed. That means that your population is growing, you're short change in Nigeria. And when it does grow, Nigeria rewards just the numbers of kids. They don't reward educated kids. But you provide rewards to them. What do you think, man?
Well, going for the basics, really, for a very long time, a lot of people have caused to criticize the number that you said to our population, which is rightly so. Some people even make the argument about if you go to South, go towards Ireland, the population should be different from what we get in terms of more water, where you have water. I also know that last many years, census have been pretty good. And we are hoping that they will get that right census. Even though I really, struggling to understand. Because imagine 200 million or 200 million proper census. Then one day, somebody that really makes business, but because it's proper census, and then suddenly dash 100 I mean, how do you make that happen?
That would be crazy. That would be mind blowing. What are the implications with our population numbers, our largest economy in Africa, largest market on this population number? They are not real.
That's the thing that I cannot answer right now. Because the truth of the matter is this: we are saying that we are 100 million, and look at the way we are living in this country today, assuming that numbers we have, and we're not able to go, about Lagos, for example, Lagos and how they manage to handle how they are in terms of the social amenities cannot carry the population, in Lagos as we speak today. So I imagine that, for example, the population of people have strong, and we have something lower than that. I imagine that they plan this country, to necessarily work how to really utilize the resources we have.
Good point.
But like I said, at any point that we might have the population size, we lower people that we have because it will be something
I think the numbers on the top end are correct, but it's allocated wrongly. That's what I think is going on. We are 200 million, but then they allocate the numbers that make up the 200 million. You can't Lagos State population has remained constant, i.e., the Western region at 18% from 1952 to 2006, with Lagos in the Western region have kept their population be the same. It's like the population of New York has remained constant, or Florida or Texas has remained constant since it doesn't make any sense. Prince, how you doing today, sir? Prince, what's up?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
What's up, man? What's your word?
I'm good. Well, I always enjoy space because of the analytical aspect of it. So as to what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
And, concerning this census, I want to be very honest, and this is my own personal opinion, because we do not have the statistics to back it up. But I believe that all these numbers we quote, because during the 80s we were quoting 120 million. From 90s we went to 160, 150. From 150 we are talking of 2000, we are talking of 200 million. Now we are 350. Everybody quotes whatever they feel like quoting. See, my dear brother, I can bet my life the statistics are not right. I believe that yes, we have the number. It is. Everybody can see, because out of every 10 black men, you see at least 4 these are numbers that are real. We have the numbers. So what I'm saying is that the statistics as per can just like you have said. What is, how much is this state? How much is this? Things that are shrouded in mystery, and they are made up. They are made up. Remember what happened to Festus, the former Nigerian breweries chairman in 2012, 2013, when Jonathan appointed him and wanted him to conduct this. How he was, that he had to do. My brother, have we asked what was responsible by his
let me give you his quote, but just join it. So Festus Odimegu was the former CEO of Nigerian Breweries. He was appointed Nigerian Population Commission chairman to conduct the 2006 census. Look at his quote. He said, "No census in Nigeria is valid, and trying to count Nigerians is impossible." Note, impossible. He is the chairman of Nigerian Population Commission, saying no census have been valid and that trying to count Nigerians are impossible.
It's just we like to delude ourselves and power. This is the gospel truth. Are we using modern technology that can instill fairness in all the nooks and crannies of Nigeria to count human beings and get data of everybody? Because when you are taking demography, there are lots of subsets you have to take into consideration: age, language, sex, mother, educational, so many. Because this thing helps the planet. Everything about growth. Growth, everything. If we have things that we should be punching the keyboard, getting this thing at the tip of the finger, but people continue to keep it shrouded in mystery. Why? Because it benefits certain ways. But thank God we are gradually coming to that situation whereby we will have to see that it's very important. Parents, we do these things. We don't mean any part of Nigeria or brothers. We are all similar. We mean well for every part of this country. What we reassure ourselves that nobody is going to be aligned, nobody is going to be played down on. And then everybody will be free to bring out the truth. You understand? Rather than when you come to my house, I tell you I have 5 wives. They are not here because John does not accept you. Just put down 5.
All right, please. Let's get others in here.
You understand? So we have never had, I believe that we have never had an honest census.
Right.
So most of we have, Nigeria has the population without a doubt.
Gotcha, Prince.
But we don't have the nitty-gritties. That's the most issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Mr. Great, I got Great God EK underscore EK. What's up with you, sir? Go ahead. Chike, you got the floor, sir. Let me get
Hey, hi guys. Just a quick one. Nice discussion on what's going on. Just to say quickly now, I don't know. I mean, we are supposed to be apolitical here. I understand that very well. But I want to say, going into this new election in 2023, we already have a candidate that is saying, "Is this statistics we are going to? How do you say? Is this statistics that is now something like that?" And so that brings that puts worries, to people's mind when we have big president, somebody coming up to be president, that's it. Now statistics job actually social statements.
and go ahead.
So back to the population, right? It can be done in sensing and the issue basically is with the demographic that you correctly pointed out. Should university age, female, above 65, old people. That's where the issue is. And that's what has not been right. In terms of certain people, I can tell you with a remote sense, just call the US Census that you have the maybe difference. Okay, which might be not, but then in terms of proximity of planning, you can manage, you can work with that. So it's not an issue. And then if you look at the what do you call it, is it a Wazomiso or something? Right from the 50s, the extrapolation has been done, and we are actually within the range that is said that we are in. I'm not sure we are far off from it, plus or minus 10%, like I said. But the issue then is that demography, and these politicians that are in office, they are using this for the allocation of resources and all this. You see people. If you go to sorry to say, I mean, if you go to some places where you have the Sahara, the desert, the place is empty. It's vast land for cultivation, and you have. The issue is, society, like you said, because has been increasing how long, a lot of people coming into business, and I don't know if they're saying that population has been how long. So that's the issue. But in terms of getting the right number of people, 10%, like I said, it's the issue is who is going to school, who is about to retire. The real really, all this traffic you have in Lagos, these things can be solved in like we're saying, demography is the issue because with this one census, for instance, maybe when you do it, people that are actually living in Ibadan might be in Lagos. Okay, so we're not able to actually use that to ascertain. So except you're now going to that manual one-on-one. And
but still, back
then when we were in the north, I think we did this long time ago, and so that's it. So basically, that's what I want to say. Let me allow other people to come in, but then people should be concerned with this election. When you have presidents or presidential candidates telling you that statistics will go chop, man, we really need to watch it and get this right. Except people want this country to be done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the comments. I'm going to post the numbers again. Like I said, I'm saying the percentage population, the proportion of the census growth has remained the same. So the North has remained at 54% from 1952 to 2006. The West has remained at about 18% from 1952 to 2006. The East has remained at 22% from 52 to 1991. No population migration, no urban shift, no movement to the coast. The same population from 1952 has had till 2006.
It cannot be correct. Definitely is wrong. Definitely wrong.
I hear you. All right, Crest, got the Dry Nation Grill. What's up, sir? Go ahead, Crest. Dry Nation Grill. Crest, Mr. Justice. I'm going to get everyone. Don't worry. Justice, you got the floor. Go ahead.
So sorry, can I speak?
That is fine. That is fine. I've got Mr. Michael Powers.
Yeah, Carlo, hi.
How you doing?
Good. I'm good. Thank you very much for using this topic. It's actually, I think, every plan that you have in terms of economic development, social services, and others, they're anchored on the population.
Sure.
I mean, what can you really achieve without data? I mean, I work for some of the best satellite company on the planet because obviously my expertise in defense, remote sensing. I mean, today we just did a project in South America. I won't name the country anyway. Where we estimated the entire population in relation to what they're doing around the Amazon area, and we in few days, I'm talking about in less than 72 hours, we were able to map out an entire area that roughly the size of half of Nigeria. So when people come with figures of political business, it makes me worry because we will still be in we should change ourselves. We can't really chart a new course for ourselves in terms of what we want to really achieve as a nation because everything here is by region where you come from because somebody is having an interest or something. You can't really move forward with that. The payload that is on our satellites, our sense satellites, has to be embedded artificial intelligence or high-speed data processing capacity. When we take a picture of an entire area, we will be able to look at the ground condition. We'll be able to look at the house. We'll be able to look at if the land is distressed, if there is overfishing, if there is deforestation, and others. And then come to global areas, we will be able to estimate, what is happening to the environmental sanitation.
So you're saying with the satellite we have, we can actually just take a remote sense, take a picture, and you can get like a sense of the density of this.
Yes, I will not only give you the physical characteristics of the company, we can also read the ground what is happening at the subsurface level. That's the level of using basically the static aperture.
Nigeria has that satellite.
And recently, I was working with Dr. Erica Pondes, one of the lead director at the JPL NASA Jet Propulsion in the US, and we work on the application of remote sensing, application of remote sensing that we raw data captured around the world, and so it's not just taking a photograph of a particular place. We can take the photograph and also analyze what is in that photograph in terms of the undated and inundated vegetation, human activities, presence of everything. So it is not difficult to do, but I doubt the political will on the part of the establishment and the elite across the world. I'm very concerned about the North because recently I toured around the entire northern area because of what I was doing in terms of site assessment, security, border security, and all of that. And it just gives you an idea, an on-site idea of how dispersed people really, how the population is basically spread across the region. And so when you interpret that data that you've captured remotely and your physical presence, the numbers don't add up. The numbers just don't add up.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, what I mean by the numbers don't add up when you talk about a particular city, for example, let me pick Borno State. Okay, with the level of displacement that has happened in the past 9 years because of the insurgency and the counterterrorism operation that is going on, we noticed that in the images we took with one of those satellites up there, we noticed we can see the pattern of migration of people, and as well as both the farmers. We've seen a whole lot of inactivity around the areas that we were actually very, very busy before, like past 6 years. So we can go back, the image we captured like 10 years ago, and take another image right now as I'm speaking with you and compare, okay, and understand what happened around 10 years ago, what happened yesterday, and what's happening today, and we can project what might likely happen because of pattern. We basically look at pattern recognition in the data analysis here. So when people gather data for purpose of I want to share money from oil. I mean, it's really. I don't think you're doing a disservice to the country and to the world as well, because we basically need to get the population question right. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but I have 2 master degrees, and I'm not even married, and I'm really 34 years old. So it brings me back to the very sensitive part of this conversation, which is the battle between the ideologues and the laborers. The ideologues obviously just believe you can have more children, use that as a political negotiation tools. When you get the power, then you can begin to change policies and influence the population. And also, in most extreme cases, you can see that they push to disenfranchise people, like what happened with the Muslim Brotherhood, in Egypt and certain places around the Middle East. So, but the liberals don't have children like that, because obviously you want your kids to be better than you. You want more education for them, more futures for them, things like that. So Nigeria has 2 separate systems. It's not just black and white. Okay.
Yeah,
so
but
you really need to look really deep. And the topic you raise right now is really gonna poke a lot of. It's gonna stir a lot of. You'll stir the honestness, because everything that is wrong with Nigeria is now conflict. I mean, you put it on something that cannot. That's why you see today the INEC database is highly inflated. In the age where, obviously, do you know how much of the intelligence we are gathering, images, signal intelligence, everything, and our system analyze that in split seconds? So I at some point I go to the INEC exam and I say, allow me to basically, if you just give me a pass to the encryption protocol that you have on the server, and I will tell you the exact numbers of people, match the ID, the faces, and everything together, and tell you exactly how authentic the INEC database, the INEC survey is. Even I'm talking about this 2019.
I'm seeing many folks laughing. I'm seeing many folks laughing. I don't know why they're laughing.
Yeah, they refuse. If I load that INEC register on our just data analytic software, okay, we can match the faces of these other 8 guys. Just forget, just lay all the data. We will analyze it here.
I think that's
Data sets. You can extrapolate or do whatever. You can interrogate. You can do whatever you want to do with it.
Mike. Is your name Mike? Is your name Mike?
Yes, my name is Mike.
Okay. Mike, I've seen someone do exactly what you're saying. Someone actually did this exact thing. He did it and posted it on Twitter. He got lots of faces of underage kids, and he copied INEC.
She was doing it manually. I mean, at the violence.
Gotcha.
She did an incredible job. I'm actually, I'm not. What I'm trying to say is this. I mean, that's the speed at which, because we have people who spread across the government, the polling units, the wards, printout that they pasted on the wall. I'm taking it advanced. Like, look, I will come in whatever figure you have on that chart. Okay, the figure, if it is 20 billion, people don't worry about it. Okay, I will know that. Then I will tell the number of people who are 10 years, number of people who are 10 years, who have multiple entries. Okay, then the people probably we can match even that data with the existing database that we have with the NIN, BVN, car licenses and everything. Then we can now look at that and know how many people are still alive to vote.
And why you don't do this for free for them? Did you offer to do this like pro bono?
If they want me to do it now, I will do it for them now. Like, I will do it for them now.
I'm asking because I want to get one. So why haven't they called you to get you? I mean, they might have the reasons why, but the point I'm making is right. If we go with this idea of the population, can we blame the governor that is only interested in the population number when he knows with high population numbers he gets 70% of money, he gets 30% population, 40% minimum responsibility of states, and he gets the last 10% or so. Where's that from? From lack class. Can you really blame?
Yes, it says that the governors have responsibility to basically ensure that they provide basic services for their people.
Let me stretch this for you, Mike.
No, if you look at the structure of Nigeria, the way Nigeria has been set up, okay, you have the federal system. I mean, the states where I live, obviously, I don't really need to be concerned about policies, except it is at the highest level. Okay? Now, but when you come to Nigeria, have the president who's at the table and share money around because of captured very succinctly in your issue at the beginning of this program, that beginning of this phase, where you build the population of Lagos, population of Kano, Katsina, the realities surrounding that. What I'm interested in is the data. The data. If you don't have an authentic data, if you don't have an updated data, there is no way you can plan. If the governors are just
That's the whole idea. Yeah, Mike, sorry to cut you. I'm get what I'm saying, but that's the idea where I'm having this space that I want people to understand the linkage between the planning and the outputs, right? No matter what we see, no matter the political party we espouse, right? Lagos State is the state with the highest population in Nigeria. Yeah. Scientists to know that, right? Yeah. For how many local governments does Lagos State have? What's the amount of federal resources that come to Lagos? Even VAT that is getting in Lagos is shared according to the same fact. VAT is part shared also, but it doesn't give you 100% participation. So the point I'm making is really that we've got to change this law to say how can Lagos State's population be the same from 1950? Something that's got to change because if you don't change it, you can't plan. If you can't plan, you really can't get out of it. We have to really go beyond using the governors and saying, really, why are the governors not insistent on changing what's going on? 55%, I get the guys number. 55% is the magic number. Look at everything in Nigeria. Number of houses, number of local government areas, number of the census. 55%. That's the magic number right there. It never changes. So the house is set of 55%, population 55%, allocation for VAT 55%, everything is 5. I don't go too far, but if you know what I'm saying, you.
I do.
Mike, I want you to hang in there. Yeah, hang in there. Let me get others to and then we'll come back to you, Mike. Let me get Mr. Yeah, I think I got Tunde. How you doing? Tunde, hello, what's up? How you doing?
Concerning the population, there are some issues we have to look. I'm from South Africa, so let me get that right. See, and I've traveled far and wide in Nigeria. The North still accepts the landmass of the South. If I'm not mistaken, 33%, 26. you talk of the north, you are talking from Ilorin down to Maiduguri. You are talking from Sokoto down to Maiduguri. I'm coming somewhere. So, why the population of the north, south is dense? There's denser population in the south than in the north. And people say, why is it not always a problem? One thing you should always know about the north, most of them are Muslims. They have early marriage. I have a who is something the grandparents. I have a relation with something the grandparents. It's not family planning, it's not like a lot of VDM. They marry very early. So one thing we should know is that the landmass of the north is very people. They need to look at the area. Kogi State, the area of Kogi State is the total area of the whole 5 states combined. The landmass. So the population of the north will be higher for the density. Now you look for people should look at and see how government migrated to Nigeria. What manufacturers type the local government for evenly spread data. However, our manufacturers are standardized when these local governments on a man-no-man basis. In fact, I remember in my state of justice, they came to Commercial. They didn't really ask the local government. They went to communal, they just started with the local government based on who we know. And I expected, when they create the local government, I expect, honestly speaking, I'm not being political. I don't like what they say. But I expected that Lagos should fight for local government. Not because of politics. So we now go to the census. Census in Nigeria has always been a political issue. If you go to the 1962-63 census, people are saying they must have looked every area of Nigeria started in population census. South West did it, South East did it. The north was the last. But when they saw what was happening, where some population is 70, 80, 70%, they look, we should be able to make noise. So what is the agreement? We should have a lot of technology. So we should emphasize the issue of revenue allocation based on population. And that's why I've always said, as a nation, we should go back to federalism. The way we had it in the 60s, nobody in the West was even any more than people any stay in Lagos. Because they had the capacity. The minimum wage of the Western was higher than that of Lagos. Because they had the capacity to pay.
Good points made on the spread of the land mass and the density. But I think the issue is that even with that density and spread, the number has not changed. From 19.
I'm not saying when the number has not changed. Because you see, nobody comes to the West and you want to do population census. People say, look, we did not people are going to them. So everybody does. So what they've agreed that everything will just remain proportional.
So why do a census then? Why waste 300 billion? So that means I can give you the figures today for the census.
Yes. My brother, that's what you do. In the plan analysis, they will adjust. That's what they do. Yes. The last one that was done, I remember the one done in Babangida. That's what they found out. They did plus or minus. So in the end, every region will have the same. It's not as remember, if we adjust population, we are going to adjust further constitution. So for instance, if my population
so,
years.
And today you've come home to one post this piece. And unless we understand the importance of the census, going forward. Nothing can change. Because the census determines population shift. Lagos has attracted a lot of Southeasterners. Lagos should benefit from a larger number of house members and also VAT and also federal allocations. They are not.
But concerning house members, for instance, Lagos State has the highest number of house members per state.
They should have more.
24 members are in Lagos State in the House of Representatives. 24.
But they should have more.
My state has only 30.
Yeah, but they should have more.
Only 6. Ayelsa has only 6. In the federal house, it's based on population.
Okay.
It's based on population.
All right, Tunde.
Lagos State has 20. Those states have 20. The House of Rep, like Lagos. No.
I hear you, Tunde. But still, Lekki local, let's just say Alimosho local government area is like 2 states or 3 states. Alimosho alone. So, yeah, I get you. Let me get some guys in here that haven't spoken to me today, right? Let me get Augustine Bob. Yeah, Augustine Bob, how you doing?
Hello, good evening.
How are you doing today?
Evening in your time zone. Fantastic. The discussion is so lively. I would like coming on that. I have some things I want to say. I just feel a little bit of time. I'll try to be brief. I think all of us we are on the same page as our population. All in this country was founded. The figures founded, everybody tries to grab as much as it can from the central courts. Because of this faulty population, this harmful and this implement for the possibility of planning and misallocation of resources, of mismanagement and corruption and all that. The population are like 55%, 20%. Every now and then, at the end of the day, those legacy figures are still maintained. It's rubbish. That is why perform as sub-national levels. Now, the thing is that if you look at the issue of SCP, like our friend was just about the land space, there is a lot of migration across the country, and we have a lot of people that are from the north to the south for various reasons. It could be things like security, and then the notion of a better life in the south, like most geographies, to the coastal regions. Figures are something that need to be looked at. It's good to know for the country. I said all that. As what be, what are the solutions? Technology has to tool that we can use to solve this problem. I'm not trying to look at the issue of national education numbers. I mean, if this country can really get its population administration right, recording and deaths, I think it will be close to where there should be a ministry to the National Population Commission. Make sure these figures are always up to date. Of course, and what is census? Best way to get people that have right. What else? The problem we have that because of the sharing system in the country, everybody feels like census we must have control this out. Had the system, federal system, and the regions not provide the region and quality to compete and be productive. I believe it's stuff.
All right. All right, Austin, I think about 3 or 4 minutes. So, yeah, we're going to move on.
All right, thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for that. I mean, the key point again is that, like Tunde and Kunle have said, I can take the census figures in June, and that really is that's really sad that I can tell you what the census figures will be because we put a percentage. The numbers don't matter to us. We're going to be 215 million, but I can tell you how many people are going to be in Lagos. It doesn't work that way. I don't think that we're not doing it right. That means we're not going to reward states that have done to attract quote unquote new inhabitants. We don't punish states that have done bad policies to people who leave their state. We don't allocate scarce resources across the states. It's just not good enough. Let's get
Exactly.
yeah.
Austin,
Austin,
why would I not be rewarded for it to attract the population that come and work in my state?
I got you.
Makes sense.
I got you. All right, let's get Kunle Phillips. You got the floor, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good evening.
How you doing? Go ahead.
This census matter. Yesterday, I had one comedian, Nigerian Census. I was telling him that the simple way to check this thing, just check the electricity connection.
Yeah.
And that there are more electricity connections in Lagos Island alone. That place from Marina, all the way to Gaju. Just Lagos Island alone has more electricity connections than Kano and Jigawa.
Well, let me play devil's advocate. Could that be because the guys in Canada don't have money for electricity?
No, about that. Even if they're standing fans again, they must make one electricity connection somewhere. Where there are human beings, there will be electricity connection. No matter what, even illegal connection, let's even use, because sometimes people will just go and tap the wire straight.
Okay.
So, Kano and Jigawa have been divided. 4 million human beings went to Jigawa forever. So how are they still claiming that Kano has more human beings than Lagos? Where in the world, where else in the world is it that human beings congregate where there's no water, no access to nothing? Who does that? So anyway, if you tell it, small time will claim 250 million, and of course the World Bank and all the other outsiders think the rackets will continue. They will agree. So we better get serious about getting this headcount done, because as it is, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know who we're providing for. We don't know what infant mortality rates are. Maternal mortality. We don't know nothing. And it's because the basis for sharing is the second which brings us to Kano. They now have 77 local children.
Wow, 77.
Yes, and the problem is that when the British were running the country, what the whole Kano, including Jigawa, had the exact 20 government areas that Lagos had. The same comedian saying, oh, routinely, nothing has happened for I laugh. How does the guy afford to feed that 4 human beings? And after he has spent the 30 human beings, what about the actual infant mortality rate that killed the children before age 5? So, anyway,
I think it's a good point you've made that in the end, it's really down to the economics of it. You simply can't have 4 wives, you cannot afford 4 wives. In the end, not everyone there has 4 wives, right? And yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I know what they're saying was magic. This nonsense. This is what we keep out.
Yeah.
Therefore, the male census enumerator cannot enter. Okay, well, no, and that is because if you let the women vote,
yeah, but I don't want to be. I'm not going one vision against the other guys. The North itself is suffering with this wrong census. Because what's happening is that you are also overcounting on it. So when you say you have a higher number, right? So that means that you are supposed to then generate higher wealth. You then take a GDP per capita. That proves that you are supposed to. So then when you do a poverty head count, because you are supposed to have 77 million people in that region, you then generate more wealth. But if there are not enough people in that region, it's wrong. So it's not just a one way street, right? If you have more responsibility and more is expected from you, if you have a larger market, then you shouldn't have a higher responsibility. It doesn't really follow. It should be a higher, population numbers, create a higher market, higher commerce, and higher VAT. That's what I'm going to. So it can't be something just to add an attention. So Chinedu, go ahead. How you doing?
I'm good. Do you?
Very well, thanks.
Well, you said most of the things, like the last person talked about the infant mortality, the maternal mortality rate. Whenever we are talking about this population in the north, we are trying to play about it. We are talking about the large expansion, and that does not translate into human beings, even those. But we are playing politics. Because you see the problem with this politics, we are not equitably distributing resources. Somebody talked about mass migration. There is serious mass migration from the north to the south. And now is the common people, Nigerian, are suffering because it is supposed to be that these people have more population. We give them more resources, but resources are going to where people are living, and few politicians are getting it for their political or whatever they want to be. If you come to Nigeria presently, a lot of people are moving down from the north to the south because of the insecurity. We factor in the banditry, the killings that are going on. Somebody said that this census is done by a proportional method. They will just, politicians will sit down and they will allocate figures just for political reasons. And you see the president saying that giving governors money and they're not achieving anything with it. All these things boil down to we will start manipulating figures rather than being sincere to ourselves. I would also advocate if it is possible for state governors to tune into the use of tech, like somebody talked about using geometry, GPS, and some other things. They can take high quality cameras and analyze human activities in that area. It will also help governors to planning to plan for their own states. At a point, getting the plan right level, I believe that gradually we'll get it right.
I would like a situation where Lagos, for instance, goes out and gets this geospatial information done. Lagos itself should go out do it because
open up the city and bring in more interest.
Yeah, in 2006, Lagos did their own census after they disagreed with the census. They did their own, but it was sort of they just counted. They just did the same count that the NPC did, and they said it was 17 million. But I think if they had done that geospatial information and then published that information, it would put pressure on the NPC to say, well, in Alimosho local government, Lagos State, they've counted 2 million people. This is the satellite picture. This is how they counted 2 million people. How are you, NPC, counting 100,000? If Lagos does something like that, if Delta State does something like that, if Kano does something like that, then NPC will now be on a proper count. The count is wrong. What they do, they are counting the top figure correct, then they allocate to the states. So the top figure is about 200 million, but the allocation is nonsense. That's the I want to get this guy in here. Let me get thanks so much. I've got Abdul Majid 40. What's up with him, man? Abdul, you got the floor. Hand is raised up. Just on mute. Okay, Abdul, I've got the floor for you. So I'm going to get Mr. P to speak. Padlocks.
Okay, thank you very much. What an interesting topic discussing about. I agree. I've followed this census for way too long. I mean, I spent a lot of time. I traveled from the university. So, I can tell. I mean, like Kano, for instance, the metropolis is quite complicated. Same cannot be said for the and all of that. But just go to Google, take a satellite view, just zoom in to technology to do this whole population. Yes, but on your own, go on this. Use Google Map, let me put my state, Edo State, for instance. Zoom into Edo State. You can settlement where there's a semblance of humanity happening there. I'm sorry I've done that for a lot of things above, and I mean the population census of those states compared to what you see, then put this side by side with population census of some other states. As you go down the coast, let me just use Lagos. As you go down the coast, you will see a huge disparity. The numbers don't make sense. Like last week I spoke. I'm not a big fan of Tinubu, to be honest, but I think he made a bold point. He was still at least do something. That time has passed. That's over how many years now?
2006.
State governors have questioned these numbers. The other time we challenge the tax of Nigeria, which is good. States should start coming up and being American and not being so to speak. They operate. They should focus within their capacity. They should start questioning these numbers. They should say Delta State, or should say Into River State, so that we should start having that conversation. Especially for children and all of that. It's easy for you to participate in the amount of people we have with the conference of the state, hoping your briefing, and all of that. So it's not that things are state governments of your state.
Good point. And again, even inside the state, you are okay with the federal number, but inside the state is more populated than I think it helps in the states which actually know where your population centers are, so you can plan roads and hospitals. It just can't be these numbers because we're spending almost 350 billion on this 2023 census. So yeah, we'll have to do better. Don't I see your hand, but I'm going to come. Just want to get go around the floor to add new guys, right? I got Abdul Majid. Okay. Okay, let me get this guy. His phone has been off and on. I'll put you on once he speaks. Majid, you got the floor. After Majid, I'll get you on, Georgia. Majid, go ahead. Majid, just unmute and go ahead and speak.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Kano.
How are you doing?
Okay, I'm on mute. Hello, Mr. Kano, good evening.
How are you?
Hello, good evening.
I can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Fine, sorry. I was also battling with network. Okay. I heard what the other man said. Sorry, I didn't get his name, but before I left initially, when you started this place, there was Mr. McLean spoke about staying in Katsina, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, precisely. Me, I'm from Kano State, to be precise. So what your other speaker was talking about, his Hausa friend that spoke that he has 34 wives and all, 34 kids and 4 wives. This is something that is rampant in the north. It's not something that's very surprising. Like for example, in Kano State, I can tell you can have in a polling unit, you can have over 60,000 voters. I know about the issue of underage voters, but voters, matured voters, you can have on a polling unit 60,000. In Kano Metropolis alone, you can have up to going to 1 million voters. So if you go to the rural areas in Kano State, to be precise, you will see somebody with 4 wives, more than 60 children. Most of them are all these Almajiri children, we call them specifically, who roams around the streets. So they come to the urban area in search of livelihoods and the rest. So some of them tends not to be put into consideration. So you will see when they said there's over how many number of people in Kano State, you'll be thinking maybe the figure has been extrapolated. No, it's not. To be sincere, that it is. Just that now this issue of modern ideology, civilization has come into our culture, that most of our ladies now are using some methods, I don't know, to reduce birth rate. You see, before mothers do born up to 10 children. Sorry, I'm taking a lot of time. But you see, the ladies now are trying to like minimize it to like 2, 3, at maximum 3. But you see, populations in the north mostly.
It has to do with wealth, sir.
Are more in the northwestern Nigeria.
So Majid, I wanted to speak, right? So let me just say some things, right? The richer a country gets, the less children the country has. So if the north is getting richer, the north will have less children. Also, when you educate girls, they have less children, which is a good thing. But also to the question about the north having population, they used a satellite in Kano, and they said the 9.7 million figure was overrated, and they said Lagos figure was about this more than Kano. So everyone has population. If you go to my estates on Hafia, they also marry one man, one wife. They also have children. It's very densely populated. A lot of people. Everybody has population. I think there's a number in Kano that we're talking about, and that number has not changed from 1952 to 2006.
Yes, no, I understand what you are saying, but if you look at Lagos State as a whole, Lagos State is more like, let me say, the New York in USA, which is a collection of different places.
I lost you. Am I up now to speak?
No, he will speak next. He's still speaking.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, yeah. So if you take Lagos State as just as a case study now, Lagos State is more or less like New York, which is just collective from diverse places. But Kano is more of commerce. When you come, you buy, you live. Most people in Kano are indigenous of Kano, but you can't say so of Lagos State. Like, you know, Mr. Kalu, I remember your tip. You said you grew up in Kosofe, if I'm correct, Lagos State.
Yeah, exactly.
So you see, the Lagos State is more of different people there.
No, but you know, I was just being silly. I was just being silly on Twitter because they were getting annoyed, and I was going to make the point that, and I put the real question there, and I asked people that when you do a census, where I was going to, if you do a census, who do they count in Kano State? Are they counting the residents of Kano, or the guys that are from Kano but live in Lagos? Who do they count in the census? They count the residents of Kano. That's where I was going to with this. With those.
Yes. Let me just give you this last point. Like, you see, Kano Metropolis. If you come to Kano State, there's what we call like the Kopa, like the gates. You understand? That demarcates the main Kano city. You understand? So if you want to get a real indigenous of Kano State, they are more in the Kano Metropolis. You see these Kopas, there are about 16 Kopas in Kano State, so it's gates in English. So there are about, so you see the majority of population there are pure indigenous of Kano, and that is where majority of the populations are.
Yeah, but are they up to 9 million? The question is that, are they up to 9 million, and are they unchanged? Are they more than Lagos? That's the question, sir. Because in Lagos, I see guys from Kano in Lagos as well, right? There are lots of guys in Kano from Lagos. So So are they are they 9 million folks in Kano more than Lagos?
Sincerely speaking, Mr. Kalu, you have to come to Kano.
I've been to Kano many times. I've been to all the states in Nigeria more than once. I've been to Kano many times. I know Kano very well. I mean, hang in there. Don't go anywhere. At least you have your reference. Let me get Doja in here. Doja, hi. You've got the floor, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you contributing. Doja, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Kalu.
How you doing? Welcome back. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, good evening to everyone in the house.
Your mic is a bit low, sir. Your mic is a bit low. If you could raise it up, or you're using a hands-free, it's a bit muffled.
Is it better now?
Go ahead, sir. Yeah.
It's better. Okay, so if we're going to really analyze this census of the thing, the reality is that the fraud is multi-layered. First of all, right now this is something that is happening now, not something that we could say after 10 years ago, 20 years ago. This Ministry of Nigerian Affairs, they keep saying they are making conditional cash transfers to the most vulnerable in the society, or the poorest in the society, and we still give us reports. And they keep giving us saying that these are conditional cash transfers to the poorest in the society. I think the issue here is the fact that society that don't cite data. We have data and we have databases. But there is an aversion by the federal government, and I'm saying this with all sense of seriousness, an aversion by the federal government to the usage of data. And that aversion by the federal government to the usage of data points to deeper mandates. That mandate is the fact that the federal government is the enemy of the Nigerian people. The federal government right now is Nigeria's biggest problem, because it's almost like they are the ones who are doing everything that is against what the country is supposed to be, how the finances are supposed to be done. They are doing everything to frustrate everything. Because these things are commonsensical, the data is available, you have the telecoms companies, you have the banks with BDN. You see, if you are in a proper country or a developed country, you can't live off the grid, like the forest man. It's almost impossible, because whether you like it or not, you must pay for something, data must enter somewhere, it must be captured somewhere, something must happen, essentially, that would ensure that you are captured one way or the other. In Nigeria, somebody can live off the grid, and that's not supposed to be happening. Even all these people that you say they are in rural areas, they keep saying network is not covering all the rural areas. As far as I'm concerned, as of today, if you look at the telecoms companies, probably they are covering about 90-something% of the entire Nigeria. Wherever it is, they've not covered. If they say it's not profitable, nothing stops the NCC from saying, go and cover it, pay for the coverage, so everywhere can be covered. Everybody can be captured using something that is universally accepted amongst all of us. Is there NIN? I'll just give you my experience with it. I did NIN in Katsina, I did NIN in Lagos, I did NIN in Kano. And I can tell you free of charge that all the NINs I did, I must have done it about 4 or 5 times. I never got to one. The only one I got was the one I did most of the videos. So all the ones I kept doing, I never came out. So it's not like there's no data. But in a place, in order to perpetrate the fraud that is currently ongoing, and perpetrate the myth of some sort of place where there's the part of the country where they have so many people using it for allocation purposes, electoral fraud, they don't want to remedy it. And this is not something that, because these people you are talking about in the village, are we saying that they do not spend money? You will say they don't have bank accounts. In this current age and stage, you don't have a phone. You don't have a bank account.
Just going by NIN alone, NIN alone should be able to sort most of this out. NIN should closely match population, right? Closely. It shouldn't be exact, but it should give us the same trend. If you have more phones in Abia, NIN numbers will be high in Abia. If you have less phones in Kogi, NIN numbers will be low in Kogi. It should track it somewhat. Yeah,
and I totally agree with that. But what we are seeing is the exact opposite. They will just come out. They will say there's this figure or something without any data to back it up. In fact, it's as bad as I don't even trust the National Bureau of Statistics. I don't trust the statistics they release to us anymore. Because sometimes they release statistics, sometimes the statistics is correct, sometimes when they release, we get contrasting statistics from other international organizations, sometimes we don't even know who to believe. So I think the first step, or the very first step, if you say you want to do national planning, you cannot nationally plan without understanding how many people you have in your country, how many people you're planning. And you can't be planning based on a fraud. Because if you say you have people somewhere, somebody goes to establish a company and the numbers don't add up, it won't add up. That's how it is scientific, it's not statistics.
Gotcha. Well said.
So whatever it is they are doing, they will go and establish a transport university in Daura, a transportation university. So you ask yourself the question, where is the water in Daura? That just people that want to establish a transportation university. Why are you establishing a transportation university where there is no water? You establish a naval command, you do not. Where is the water? Where are the water that you have? It doesn't make sense. Like where are the waterways that they are going to be patrolling? Why are you having a naval base where there is no water? These are the kind of things we see.
All right,
so
Doja.
When we are talking about the fact that census is important, every country that has voting rights, they plan based on some sort of population. They make their plan based on what population they had. Our population is a fraud. If we do a proper census, we might end up discovering that we are probably very low to 100 million, it's over 100 million. It's a fraud.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time, right? Let me get Trader. Trader, not Professor. You've got the floor, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Carl. Good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well, sir. Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so I think a lot of us have said a lot here, and I will agree with what people say. And the first thing I'm going to dispute or say is that first, I'll be saying that Nigerian population, I'm meant to believe, I'm convinced that even the current population we are quoting, the estimation and everything is not up to. I'll say this from points of not personal experience, but my mother exactly, because she was working with the Nigerian Teachers Institute, and they were the ones that were mostly used for the 2006 census in Nigeria. And I can tell you for a fact that what most states, councillors, governors, and all that did was that, for example, Mr. Carlo, I can tell you whether you were in Abia State or Kosovo local government where you came from or not, your census was recorded for that in Abia State. For example,
how is that possible? If I'm not, how?
Okay, that's what I'm going to say, for example, now. For example, when they were doing that, the head count, the family and everything, they will go to a local government, let me say a local government in Ungwana, in Abia State, a family of six, where 4 of their children are in Lagos. And the family will tell them that they have 6 children, and they will record it as 6 children for that family in Abia State. Why those 4 persons in Lagos State are also being recorded as 4 persons in Lagos State? That's double counting.
Are you sure?
So I think
are you sure? Trader, are you sure? I was counted in Abuja in 2006, and they didn't ask that way. They wanted to see who they were counting.
No, I'm sure of what I'm saying, because this happened in some location, and they were forced to do it. When the councillors had to tell them, okay, do all this because it helps our allocation.
I know. So what you're saying is that it was done wrong, right? You are saying it was done fraudulently. It's not the practice. It was done fraudulently. That's what you're saying.
Yes, it was done. Our population currently may likely be fraudulent because the continuous estimation has been based on that part.
Okay.
And I would agree with what you say, that it is being allotted based on that same consistent percentage over the years from the 60s. So I think, and we need, census is important because it is essential for proper planning, because our current structure is short-changing states like Lagos State, River State, and maybe Delta States and some other states that are receiving massive and huge migration. And this states of origin of the thing, I think census should center much more only on residents, states of residence. And I wouldn't agree with using things like voters card or some other things, car registration for census. I think NIN is the closest thing that can give us the actual population of a region. So we need census, very important. It's essential. And something just like some other people have said, that our NBS, National Bureau of Statistics and all of that, I don't know. I think we have too many data that are not even corresponding, that are not working together. We have NIN, we have BBN, we have National Bureau of Statistics, we have National Population Commission. All these things are collecting data on people's numbers without even merging them together to give us a common base, which doesn't help the country. So I think we need a common data center, like Mr. Mike McLean have suggested earlier. So things like that can actually help a nation. And without getting this population of a thing right, we will be shortchanging the states that have that massive population density without even helping. And some of the governors that are giving fraudulent population and all that will be contributing a lot to the country.
All right.
This also is all down to the sharing formula, which is not fair
Thank you.
The country as a whole. Thank you.
Appreciate that comment. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. I've got the online nurse. Is that online nurse? Am I getting that right? All right, so you've got the floor. Go for it.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead. Got some background noise, but go for it.
All right. Thank you very much. I want to everybody that
Yo, bro, you've got some bad background noise. I gotta move on. Sorry about that. You've got some bad background noise on your voice. So sorry about that. Can you fix your mic?
Sorry, I'm in transit. I think that's why.
Let's get Samuel. Samuel Paniel. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine, Mr. Carlo Aja.
What's going on?
What's good? Okay, my name is actually Samuel Paniel, not Panel.
Sorry about that.
It's fine. Thank you for this conversation. I've been enjoying the session so far, and it's very interesting. So I want to quickly react to what Mr. Trader, not Professor, said earlier concerning the double count. I've really not, the few times I saw people, the census being taking place, they have always been very, very strict about their operations. Like, let's see who we are counting and all that. So I have not heard of that double counting for the very first time. All right. But I want to also comment on the existing conversation on ground. I have always argued about the figure that comes out after census. I've always told people that figures are scam. Permit me to use that word, scam. The reason why I said it is because I've not really taken my time to do some research as regards to that. But my experience so far, okay, I travel to the north frequently, especially this year, and I can tell you, the previous speaker that said he's from Kano will attest to what I just mentioned. If you travel outside Kano metropolis, I'm sure he can attest to what I'm saying now. You will drive for hours inside Kano, you will not see anybody. You will just be seeing forests and something like that. You will not see anybody. Immediately you leave Kano town. The same thing with somewhere like Kogi State, where you live in local jam metropolis. You will travel for hours, you will not see anybody. You will see few houses. So you cannot tell me, you cannot compare such places like somewhere like Lagos, that almost all the places in Lagos are occupied by humans. Or like somewhere like Lagos, of recent, Governor Wike commissioned a place in a place called Mboshimi. And that is a place, you can call it an outskirts of Port Harcourt. Those in Port Harcourt will attest to this. You can call it an outskirts of Port Harcourt. In his comments during the commissioning, he said he's doing this, he did this road because he wants the large number of persons in Port Harcourt to start shifting to this place, because Port Harcourt is overpopulated right now. That is the truth. You will discover that a place like Igboeche, Obibo, Igrita, and this outskirts of Port Harcourt are already developing. That is a good sign of large population in a particular place. So you cannot tell me that kind of huge figure is coming from Kano, and we cannot see the effects. All right. If a place is increasing in population, the effect should reflect on the development of that particular place. Okay, that's just what I have.
All right, Samuel. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. Okay, I got Kano, sir. Is that Ayo Ajilore? If I got that right.
The name is Ayodeji Ajilore.
I do. Good to say. You got the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I think we have a very, very unique problem here in Nigeria, and that's to say, oftentimes when we try to break down these issues around numbers, we need to be very careful, and I say that with all sense of responsibility. Speaking of sense of responsibility, I think oftentimes what we usually do is to downplay the enormity of our problem. I'll give you an instance. Katsina State and Nigeria Republic. There are people in Katsina, especially in some local government in Katsina State, from what I have found out, that have cousins in Nigeria Republic. Now, if there is any need for any population census to be carried out in Nigeria again, how do we want to manage this dynamic? This also applies to some other states that are bordered by Chad, these people, I mean, we should not forget that Nigeria was not particularly in any way a kind of agreement that was made really with some sense of responsibility attached to that agreement. It practically was just to carve out an entire land space for a particular venture. It's an SPV, so to put. Now, when you have this kind of dynamic, my people in the Southwest here, we are bordered by Benin Republic, and majority of the people we are bordered by are in Benin Republic, but we speak the same language. Now, if for any reason I want to play the Nigerian system, it is easy for me to get my Yoruba brothers at the other end to cross border, especially a porous border, into Nigeria, and then we get to do what we want to do. I believe for us, really, whenever we are serious and we are ready, because I think we are not ready, one of the first set of things we should do, as a matter of fact, is to clear the air on the dynamics of our population. When I speak to dynamics, I speak to the features. One of the things that we should be clear about is who is a Nigerian Fulani man? Who is a Nigerian Yoruba man? Who is a Nigerian Adamawa man? Who is a Nigerian Taraba man?
Why are you staying down on the who is a true Yoruba man?
No, the point is Yoruba can be anywhere. Yoruba actually stretches up to Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. But the point is, if you want to plan for Nigeria, you need to be able to separate these people. And that's why you see the borders were locked at some point in Nigeria. They were shut. And then we still saw that due to the fact that people used to move across Niger Republic to Nigeria, especially within some states, people were still able to beat that shutdown to bring things into Nigeria. This also contributes to our insecurity concerns. Now, you must have also heard Malam El-Rufai as
No, but I want you. I think you're going off track. We're not talking about the borders or the tribes. We're talking about. I want you to stay on message. I don't want it to be. We're trying to talk about how the census is not well planned into development figures in Nigeria. How we are not counting the demographics. We're not drilling it down to know which states are getting more people so that we can get allocation to those states to then grow the GDP. That's what we want to talk about.
Yeah, I think I'm not actually digressing or deviating from that. I am speaking to you about the fact that there are so many dynamics that makes for difficulty with regards to getting the appropriate numbers for Nigeria. I'm speaking to the fact that it seems like along the borderline, for instance, we continue to see migration of people from other countries in Africa coming to Nigeria. And then when we are doing population census, how do we delineate on that line in just quote and unquote, you understand? So it's pretty much, I think, is a very big issue. If you want to get the numbers right, you need to have a proper way of accounting for the number. Now, if you cannot even separate a Nigerian man from a Niger Republic man, how are you going to do that effectively? So I was just trying to introduce that perspective to the conversation so that it becomes more robust and then we can know what to do. Because first thing in the scientific process of solving problem is to at least be able to identify the problem. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I just want to make sure that we're not looked as if we're just picking on a particular region or people and all that. So I get your point, yeah.
I get it, bro.
All right, super. Thank you so much. Let's get Dozier. Dozier, your hand is up. You've got the floor, Dozier. Go ahead. Just to reset, guys, before Dozier hops in, just to reset the room, guys, we're talking about the Nigerian census. We're trying to link the Nigerian census to national development. So I made the opening no talk, and I was I used the Nigerian Population Commission's figures, and I basically said the northern region, according to their figures, from 1952 to 1991 has remained unchanged at 54% population, right? They do the proportion. The western region has remained unchanged as well from 18%, i.e. from 1952 to 1991. Same with the Eastern region, 1952 to 1991, again unchanged at 22%. Even if you look at the last census, 2006 census is the same thing. Southwest is 19%, North is 52%, East is 26%. So the top numbers they change, but the allocation numbers just stay the same. Decade after decade, no migration, no urban to rural drift. No one has moved to Lagos or Kano. And we're calling these figures out because it's wrong. And if these figures are wrong, then we are not planning properly because our planning documents are wrong. And then we said, why are they wrong? They are wrong because in Nigeria, we allocate resources according to population, 30% on the horizontal allocation numbers, and of course, 40% landmass, all that kind of stuff. So is this allocation, this heavy weighting on population, 30% that forces everyone to want to have high population numbers? We saw Kano and Lagos argue in 2006 and do their own individual census. Lagos said they have 17 million, not 9 million. Akripoli said, no, you only have 9 million, but Canada has 9.4. Akripoli says, no, your figure is inflated, it should be lower than that. That's basically where we are. We're trying to link these numbers to population, to our economy. 2023, we're going to have a new census. If we don't get this right, if we keep on doing it the way we've done it, I can tell you the numbers of the allocations by state in 2023. I can tell it to you now. That means we're just wasting our time, right? That means that in the end, Lagos will only get 18%, East will get 22%, the North will get 54%. So what's the point of doing it? That's the way we're talking about, right? So I had Dozie on here. Dozie, hi, you've got the floor. You want to unmute and go ahead? Dozie going once, Dozie going twice. Let's get I think online us. You've spoken, right? I think you've spoken online us. I'm so sorry.
I think I was off along the line.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
All right, thank you very much. So, like I was saying the other time, firstly, I want to appreciate you and everyone that has spoken. So again, what I was trying to say is, I think if I live in Lagos, then I will use electricity in Lagos, and I will use what's it called? Water in Lagos, use everything in Lagos. I will also contribute in Lagos. I will pay tax in Lagos. It doesn't make sense if I live in Lagos and I was counted as a resident of Osun State, even though if Osun State is my state of origin. It doesn't make sense because I remember in 2006, like I said, I was given, what's it called? Given a form to my family, which I did. And again, I was counted somewhere else as well at the same time, And
how do you know you are counted somewhere else?
Now, when the population of the thing started, I traveled home. So along the line, I filled a form when I was given to my parent. I filled a form with all the members of the family and everything because it was requested. And along the line, I traveled back to where I was staying in Lagos. And even though I said I've been counted somewhere, I was still insisted that no, you live in Lagos.
Yeah, but you won't be counted. You won't be counted if they don't see you. If they don't see you, they don't count that form that you filled out.
I'm telling you, it happens in 2006.
So it happened illegally, right?
This is not an yes, this is what I experienced.
No, but the point I'm trying to establish is that the point I want to establish is that it happened illegally. This is not the
Of course, that is what we are discussing, that Nigeria, that the population is not the right one, it's fraudulent. And that's what we are talking about. If it's happened illegally, this is not the first time illegal things are happening in Nigeria. I can tell you that even when it comes to figures, it happens because we don't have an actual data to justify what we call our population. You understand? Someone said the other time, I remember that Lagos have a very big, Kano did not have a very big land mass, and land mass does not turn to a figure, does not turn to a population. Alaska in the US has 1.7 million kilometers kilometers square per meter, and that is almost 2 times the land mass of Nigeria as a country. So And Alaska does not have the population of even one of the states in Nigeria, not talk of Lagos State. So what we are saying now is, I remember in 2006 that speculations about Lagos and Kano, and they were fighting. Kano said they're 9.7 million, Lagos is 9.4 million. And, I don't think there's any state in Nigeria that will even be competing with Lagos when it comes to population. Because I live there and I know how dense Lagos is. Sometimes you even hardly find way to. Traffic is not only by the cars, number of cars alone. Even people that are walking, traffic's on the road because people are just everywhere. And this is one of the major reasons we are having problem. We don't have data for the number of deaths we have in Nigeria. We don't even have data for the number of deaths in Nigeria. I said the other, I don't know, maybe anybody heard me when I said, when I was going through the INEC register, I discovered that my dad that died in 2014 is still there.
Okay.
He's still there and is expected to vote in 2023. So in all of this, we don't have the record of the people that have died. We don't have the record of people that have moved from Kano to Lagos. We don't have the record of people that have moved from Lagos to Kaduna within the space of how many years between the last census and the 2006 census. So I think where I live, where I contribute to, where I pay,
All right, bro. All right, I think we got you.
Where I pay where I pay tax to and everything to,
all I know,
I should be counted as a resident.
Gotcha. Good point. I hear you. Your background noise is.
So I will stop from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you, sir. Got you so much. All right. All right. I got Ike Chiki. What's up? I know you spoke before. What's up?
Yeah. Thanks again for having me. And I just want to say a few things quickly. Now, people have already mentioned it. Landmass does not equal, because I don't want to be in a space where wrong information is passed and I will keep quiet. Landmass does not equal to population. Let's get that for fact. It's not scientific, it's not scientific, it's not logical. You don't equate landmass to population. Let's get that for fact. The guy that is talking about Kano, this issue can be resolved straight on. I'll get to that later on. But I want to say this. The people that are saying that they were counted in Osun State and they traveled to their place. So this is the thing with the population, even the one that was done in 2006. You count out-of-state residents to know how many of Abians, for instance, are in Lagos. It doesn't equate to the population of Abia State. We should get that for fact. They are not stupid. They know what they are doing. Even though these things are manipulated, that you were counted in Abia State or you filled a form in Abia State, doesn't mean that when you get to Lagos and you will be counted as a resident of Lagos State. Mm-hmm. But in Abia State, your parents must have filled your form saying that they have a son that is in Lagos. Okay, so let's get that for fact. These people are not stupid, even though we know that they are manipulating it and doing all sorts of things that are not that is not correct, right?
So just make that point. Make that point clear. So when you fill the form, in Abia State, they are counting that your parents have those number of children.
Children, exactly.
But in Lagos State, they are counting you
for part of the population of Abia State, but rather to know that you have this number of Abians. As in, when you say the number of Abians in total, the state has an idea of what the total number of Abians are, but not that it doesn't constitute the population of Abia State. Those are two different categories. We should get that for fact.
Okay.
So we should not be mixing it up and all that. Yeah.
That's a good point.
I've done that when the last population was done. If I was in Nigeria, if I remember very well, I think I was in which state was that? Probably that was, I don't know. I can't remember. So basically, that's how that is done. So we shouldn't mix that up. But I want to say, going further, we all know what the issues are, and we know why they are doing it wrong. We know I was staggered when you said 200 billion will be used for the next population counting. We need to start preferring solution going forward. I don't know how long this, because I was so late, I don't know how long this space is going to last. Those who are coming in I see we have a lot of educated people here. Those who are coming in to speak should be profiling. So how do we now correct these things? We know what the issues are. We know that, in fact, the 200 million we say we are now, or 220 million, Lagos State is counted as, with that population, Lagos State is about 12 million, and Kano is about 40 million. If we are going by the 220 million or 200 or whatever million we are counting. They're not even 9 million. I don't know what they're using for their allocations or whatever. But in terms of the 200 million, Lagos is about 12 million. But I can tell you for free that Lagos is up to 20 million. Lagos is actually the size of Cameroon, a country. Okay, I mean by remote sensing, density, whatever, all those variables and all that, I can tell you for a free, Lagos is about 20 million. Actually, it's approximately the size of Cameroon. So if we are coming in, like I said, I was on leave, I want people to be coming in to say, okay, we know these things are wrong. How do we cannot spend 300 and what? I don't know how people call these figures and you're still
no, but Chike, I think sorry, I don't know if I'm getting it right.
I don't know how you call these figures and you're not at all.
Yeah,
so
Chike.
Can we be coming in and say, okay, this is what I don't know if you can hear me. The network is really crazy here.
Yes, you are breaking up. So let me just step in, Chike. I think we understand the problem. And I think the problem is really not the census, right? I think the problem is that the census is used to allocate resources like FARC. It's okay to use the census to allocate house seats. But when we say that if you tax a company, let me explain to you what's going on. A company goes to Lagos and sets up factory in Lagos. That company pays federal income taxes in Lagos, but it pays it to the Federal Inland Revenue Service. When it's time to allocate the taxes, the money goes from Lagos State to Abia State because FIRS will share the tax revenues according to population. So Abia will get a share of that tax revenues created from that company in Lagos. I think it's wrong. If you remove that,
what's the contribution of other states to whatever the company is doing in Lagos? I mean,
just an example. I just used Abia.
In terms of
Chike, I just used Abia as an example.
All that. It's completely wrong. So my suggestion, as I round up, if you allow me, is can people now start saying, since you're moderating, can people now start saying, this is what I feel we should do going forward. This is how we'll solve the problem. The mic that spoke about emotions, and I say is, I'm a professional in that too. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. So to let that even be a yardstick to whenever the actual door-to-door knocking and filling of forms and all that is done, so that you can use it to compare to say, okay, these are the guys that are playing pranks or being fraudulent in this population counting something. Can we bring up these other ideas to solve this problem? And even if, at least let us be satisfied that we've aired out the solutions we have in mind, because it's staggering.
All right.
Want to spend
all right, Chicken.
200 and something billion, all for nothing.
Gotcha.
All for nothing, my brother.
Thank you so much. Let me get Moz in here.
Thanks for this, and I think I just rest my case here.
Thank you. All right, I got Moz, servants of the Most High. Go ahead, sir. You got the floor.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you very, very much. I think I agree with basically what Bidija guy said and the other gentleman. One of the things I noticed is we talk about population numbers going up in the north, while the same remains static in the south. I believe there are indices.
It's static everywhere. It's static everywhere, but the numbers were set in 1952. Yeah, in 1952 is the same percentage rounded that we've used from 52 to date. I.e., date means 2006. So it's the same numbers, 52, sorry, for the 55, 45, 18, and 22, yeah.
All right. What my own indices is based on three things. We will say that we could use number of banks. We could also use number of telecom service centers. Then also the third one being new areas being developed. I served in Niger State, Suleja precisely, but I used to shuttle Mina. Served there about 15 years ago. Recently, I went to the Mina barracks and I noticed that along from Suleja down to Mina, no major development is happening there. Everywhere is still the same place, same thing, same bush.
Now, I schooled in Anambra, in Oka precisely. There were places, that is not even, you can't walk around there at what hours. But going to Anambra recently, all those places are actually open. New apartments, new roads, new houses, a lot of things happening. And people are moving in new businesses. Yet, we say that Anambra may have like 3 or 4 million persons, while Mina, for instance, is having a higher number. It doesn't just add up. For me, I would say we better have a system where we could use the bank, this BVN or BNIN, to actually get the numbers. Because if we say they don't bank, they don't put their money in the bank, at least they make phone calls. If they make phone calls, that means they'll have more, complaints, to the telecom offices. But these things don't add up at all. I've driven from Abuja to through Nasarawa to Benue, down to Enugu. Man, those are vast land. Nobody's there. So I don't know how we manufacture these numbers and just hang it on everybody and threaten those numbers during the election. After election, nothing. It doesn't translate to anything economic, doesn't translate to anything, positive apart from census and elections. So then coming to Abia State, for instance, there are places that the other guy mentioned, say that somewhere in Engwa, I'm from Obingo actually. So Aba North and South is actually the economic hub where everything is happening. But most of the people living there, doing business in Aba North and South, actually live in those Osisioma, Obingwa, and surrounding places. Like for instance, my hometown, 10, 15 years ago used to be, it doesn't cost much, but now you can't even get a land of 5 million naira and the whole place is open. So we cannot say what people are doing this and all that. The population is growing, but the trick they are using is that they are locating the pantry to a particular state. Why they not get something major, and it doesn't make sense.
Gotcha.
That's just
good point. Let me get Kenan John. Thank you, Mose. Appreciate that. Kenan, you've got the floor.
Thank you so much, Kaluaja. Thank you. I have been listening to all, and I think we are actually coming down to the point where we're going to get it, and I'm believing truly a new Nigeria is actually possible. Why am I saying that? For the fact that every single soul, educated, non-educated, is actually right now coming into it, and everybody's discussing it. Things are, we all know the problem. We all know that this whole censorship, counting of head, yes, I call it that way, because I was born raised in Lagos. I'm a Delta, a Bijo born. There is something that back then in Lagos, you see, don't come back home, you better not count us, so wait till they won't count us for. Not to talk of people who were staying in rural, like some villages. They wouldn't even have time for it. They said probably you're giving them money or something. And we all know that the figure is just normal. So we shouldn't discuss it. One thing that affects the North right now, I know people might actually be maybe against it, Northerners, because that's what they usually do. But then we should just face the fact. Right now, you can never tell me. There was a time the South wasn't really peaceful. You see people running. Okay, recently, was it not Ondo that they bombed the church? I heard about 2 people who sell the little they are, Moses. They sell little they are, they moved to UK. Everybody's there, they moved. Not to talk of the North, whereby you know that every single day they might be killing, they might be kidnapping. They blew up a whole train. Hence, kill everybody.
Bro. Let's stay on point, bro. Let's stay on. We get this, but let's stay on the topic, right? We get this. Let's stay on topic.
I have lived in the UAE. I have lived in Europe, and currently I'm in the American region, Canada to be precise. But this is in all of these places that I live in, when you enter the country, for some reason, your details will be there. Either you turn print, or you buy your SIM card, or you there for some reason, your details will be there. So I think right now we have something called the hand-to-hand, which I have, the BVN, which every bank, everybody that's into bank, we have it. And SIM registration, there was a time we registered SIM. So I think in all of these things, if we combine it, we can actually get the true facts of each region and actually come into a conclusion of how many we are. Because not only that, I think there's a solution I was actually trying to, technology, yes. In Germany, as a Deutschland, there is a system. When you come in, all of these things are like a must. They will actually know all your condition, even your health. They will know it. But there is a part that comes down to technology, whereby when you come in immediately, they capture your data to the point that makes it a little bit more safe, that they will never be violent. And that's the same thing with UAE. They will never be violent to the point that all data have been kept. The computer big way, and the web is enough to actually put all of these things to the point that you know that if this person is no longer in the country, immediately it's stated that this person is no longer around. The person traveled out maybe last week, last month. It's easy that way. So I think right now, what the last speakers have said, that the solution is actually trying to go into technology, being able to embrace it completely and pay for it. The millions that we want to use in counting this head again should actually move into getting the right skilled people. There was someone who actually speak in this place who had a little knowledge, a vast knowledge, but I believe Nigerians might look for some sort of people who have more knowledge. But if you meet this person, the person have traveled some time. If you meet this person, take this person down, this person will be able to meet other people, then you meet other people. Before we know it, we might get it. And I'm believing that things are going to get better. Thank you.
I think the theme I've heard is really that we have to use technology. I think we are right. I think we have to, and I think we know the technology to use. But again, let me tell you guys this. We know this. I think everyone on the space and the guys in government know this. They know the right count, but the incentive to have a high population is just too much. There has to be, should we say, a breakage of what we're doing right now. We have to pull back and say, what we're doing is wrong, because we're incentivizing population growth. We're not incentivizing, the quality of life. We're not doing schools, we're not doing water. We're just saying if you have more kids, we give you more money. That's basically wrong. Once we break that, I think things start to work out for us. Elias, how you doing? Elias Godson 4, you've got the floor, sir. All right, guys, we're just on the ending, rounding up part of the space. Thank you all for joining. Elias is not available. So let's see, Donatus Onyeka, you've got the floor. Donatus, what's happening? Mr. Donatus Onyeka, can you hear me? All right, so let's move on to...
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Elias.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. The demography they use for the population count, I think a lot of comments have come in. Like Lagos, for instance, during Fashola tenure, Fashola did a kind of property identification exercise in Lagos. And during that period, Lagos State did a kind of census for Lagos State. And that was why you had some figures like 17, 20 million. I think nobody is exaggerating about that. And based on the number of people that are flocking into Lagos from the north, because of the insecurity in the north, Lagos population right now should be between that 20 million or 21 point thereabout. That's very correct. Then there's something else someone said about Alamajiri stuff, that people that they get married very young in the north. Yes, that demography is there, but it has reduced drastically. Because from what you're saying, that the demography has not changed from 1954 till 2006. But National Population Commission is using an average statistical standard to just give fact figures for them to know to do their revenue allocation and all that. But some of those informations are really, really outdated, which is a reason why we need this new census, and the new census has to go with wherever anyone is, you have to be counted that place, not maybe you're from Imo State and you're living in Lagos. Your family will count you there in Imo State as an Imo State indigene, whereas Lagos State will still want you to be counted here as also someone who is residing in Lagos State. Because the whole thing is so much, they have a kind of, it's too complex in a way. Because Lagos, you can't live in Lagos State. Let's say you have lived in Lagos State for like 10 years and you expect Lagos State just ignore not counting you because someone, your parents has counted you in the East. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but I think someone clarified that you're not being counted twice. When they go to your parents, they are counting how many kids your parents have. So your parents will say, we have 5 kids in Canada, in Lagos, in Kaduna. They count it, right? To say this family have got 5 kids. Yeah. But they count you where they see you. So they count that family when they see that family in Abia. They count that person when they see that person in Lagos. They don't count who they don't see. Yeah.
Not but the National Population Commission don't do that. They count you based on what the information they give them in your place.
No, that's what I'm explaining. They don't do that. They count you, but not as a resident. So if they come to my house and I've got 2 kids, they will count Kalu 1, 2 kids. Those 2 kids are not counted as living in Abia. They count them as my kids. So they'll say Kalu has got 2 kids. So the population of Nigeria is 3 kids, right? Kalu plus 2 kids. But those 2 kids are not counted for Abia State. Only Kalu that they saw in Abia is counted. Those 2 kids are counted so it's population of 3, but Abia is 1. Then wherever those 2 kids are, they're in Lagos, they're counted in Lagos. Yeah, just make it clear for that point.
That's correct. I think that's correct. That's correct. But all the same, the demography of Lagos and Kano or whatever, Lagos has the largest population you can think of in Nigeria. Lagos has the largest. No other city can. I've been to Kano maybe like 20 times or 30 times. I've been to Sokoto, and all these people keep on saying about the early marriage and all that. It doesn't translate to the real population indices and index. Almost Lagos, with every infrastructure development, with property identification exercise that was done, with the kind of migration and relocation, everything points very, very clearly that population in Lagos State is more than any other state in Nigeria. That's all I have to say tonight. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, guys. So we're winding out, guys. We're just going to take the guys that are on space now, hear their wonderful comments, and then we'll just sort of wind it down. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. I appreciate that. Let's jump real quick to Honey CEO Luyinka.
Yeah, Honey Badger, that's correct.
Hey, how you doing, sir? Go ahead.
Okay, good evening. Thank you, and good evening to everyone. I just want to say, I'm not going to dwell too much on what everyone has said, but Kano, like the example that before I've been talking, yes, the Kano metropolis has the number, but when you start going to the Kumboso, to the Randos, the numbers are not there compared to Lagos, compared to Oyo State. So on that note, I'm just going to say, and this is more like a question, if there's anyone on this space who is like maybe a political lawyer or a constitutional lawyer who can answer this for me. Someone mentioned that sometimes ago, Lagos State did their own population census after the federal government. First off, I would like to find out, Is this population of a thing, is it on one of those so-called federal exclusive lists whereby only the federal government can conduct census? If not, is this something that a state can carry out, and then based on the number that they generate, let's say Osun State, for example, federal government say Osun State you only have 10 million people, and Osun State conducts their own census and they find out they're actually 15 million. Is this something that they can take up and probably sue the federal government and say, okay, the allocation you are giving us is not measuring up to our number? Since we are dividing, since we are sharing allocation by number, is this something that, because I believe if this can be done, other states will wake up and say, okay, we've been sleeping for too long. We might probably be more than the number that is being allocated to us. I mean, Kano, every time they tell us Kano vote is coming, but at the end of the day, we always find out that 40-45% of this so-called Kano population are underage kids. And I mean, we are just rounding up a EU funded project that lasted 5 years. Those numbers are in the north, they are more in the south. So is there a way? Can anyone enlighten us on how a state government can go about conducting their own census using technology? And when these numbers are derived, is this something they can take the federal government on and say, okay, we will need you to give us more than this? I believe if one state can do that, other states will wake up and say, okay, maybe we are being cheated too. And people will wake up. And also, it's been said on many of your states, we don't have a lobbying system in Nigeria. For this specific reason alone, I know a lot of people know people somewhere, you know someone in power, you know someone in the Senate, you know someone in presidency. Can we have a group of people start, we are already having the discussion. Can we have people who can start coming up with notes, with documents, and maybe lobby for us? If there's anything at all, most of the time I come on Carlos' space, I feel sad because the knowledge that is being dropped, the quality of the people who come here to speak, Nigeria has no reason to be where she is. But here we are. And every time it's just like we talk and talk and talk. And unfortunately, those of us who seem to know what to do, we don't have the ability, or we don't have the capacity, or we are not in the position to effect this change. So can we have people start? You can send DM to Kalu. I'm sure Kalu is a very proactive person. I just want to put this out for everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, I think good. So good point. Just to quickly answer your question, right? Only the federal government can do a census. It's like all those exclusive things. Only the federal government can do a census. So Lagos State broke that law to do their own census, but I think they were right. They should. If they felt strongly about something, they should do their own. Now, I don't see why you should stop a state from counting its own residents. The problem with this is that when we do a census in Nigeria, we normally ask people to move around and then they count. So maybe you might say, oh, maybe Lagos is one output from on those states. But that's immaterial. It goes back to a lack of addresses, because when they do a census in the US, they don't stop movement. They have your house, they go to your house, they count that house. So it doesn't matter if you stop moving or not moving. If people are counted in a particular location or domicile, then that's where they are. So this is the thing again, Lagos. How many people have homes or have a permanent address in Lagos? But I would like for the states, even a region, to say we are going to do our own census. I would like that because it introduces a second set of data to compare with the federal data. You cannot tell me that we are going to keep on using the figures from 1952 in 2023. It makes no sense. And anyone saying he wants to do that is really smoking something. We can't do that. You can't say the largest economy in Africa is going to use what the British did in 1952 as a basis for population. Makes no sense. Mark, I see your hand is up. Mike, what's up?
Yeah.
Carlo, to be fair to you, I mean, I don't know any government that comes in. I don't know if you will be interested to deploy this strength, this capacity that you have, because I've taken my time to look through the post and they just we don't have any reason to be where we are today. We have to prioritize the knowledge that we have as a people, because some of these guys have interacted with everybody in Nigeria. I mean, from the local government council up to the president. I mean, the current sitting president. And we actually take photographs, and I've seen the competence at the highest level. And I've seen the guys who know what they're doing, but because of these political hacks, they just like, oh, we're not interested. Oh, we said we just go abroad. So I really need to thank you very, very much for actually raising this particular topic, because Nigeria will not go anywhere in terms of development, in terms of quality of life for our people, infrastructure and others, if we don't get this population thing right. It is high time it is removed from the exclusive legislative list. Just as you've said, there is no way, there's no place on the planet Earth that you cannot allow a state government to count its people and make proper planning for them. But in Nigeria, everything is all about politics, who gets what and who doesn't get what. And we are now getting it wrong, because data don't lie. You need the data to plan. So going forward, what I am doing now is actually putting infrastructure in place. When I mean infrastructure in place, I mean like I'm setting up office in Abuja already, where it's going to be a high-tech office. We're going to be looking at these issues that borders on national development, finance, and others. Because in 2 years, I was able to raise a finance package of $1.6 billion to support Nigeria. But I don't want to board. I don't want to.
Yeah, let's leave that aside. Let's leave that for now, Mike.
So, thank you so much for this. So we're gonna really deploy the technology that I've spoken about to interrogate this. What we are doing with the Lagos State government right now, the mapping of the flood and what the flood has done, and other state governments going to be coming in to key into that, because from just one picture, we can basically generate the data that we need for planning.
Gotcha.
Erosion control and everything, population and everything, from just one picture.
All right, Mike. Mike, I got you. So, Mike, I got you. Appreciate the comments. We'll see. So, I got Dr. Kunle, I got Space, and I've got Clinton. We'll do those three, and then we'll round up, right? So, let's start with Dr. Kunle. Dr. Kunle, you've got the floor. How are you doing from the Republic?
I am doing very well, and thank you for the time.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, it could be better, right? For me, it's when we discuss things that are foundational to the well-being and the ability of the society to plan for its future, its present and its future. Nigeria is not a nation. We know for certain that there has never been a viable census in Nigeria. Not 63, not 73, not is it 2000, never. There's never been one. And that is because the incentives are not aligned to a viable census.
Sure.
Population revenue is allocated based on population numbers. So there's every incentive to forge that number, to inflate it to unreasonable levels, right? Elections are tied to population levels. So there's every incentive to inflate that number. The northern half of Nigeria, the population for the northern half of Nigeria is BS. It doesn't exist. Because you cross the number into the neighboring countries and populations just trail off, they disappear. Okay? So when people say Nigeria has a population number of 200 million plus, all they've done is to take a baseline from the 50s, early 60s, and apply a 4% growth rate. You go on Excel and put in the numbers, you'll get.
That's exactly what they did. Exactly.
It's
no difference.
Absolute nonsense. Now, I've posted a few things which I attach, which is to your own comment. Noah Smith is an American economist who did so he posted some things about 2 years ago, and I read it. And what it was he took Nigeria's population currently and applied the growth rate. And when you do that, it shows Nigeria's population has been ridiculously high. And he was wondering, what's going on here? And I responded and said, it's because the baseline is BS. So Nigeria's population was wild compared to Pakistan, compared to Bangladesh, compared to Ethiopia and other high population centers. I said because the numbers are BS. Because when you take an inflated number, applied an inflated growth rate, the compounding impact is ridiculously amplified. Nigeria is not going anywhere until you bloody balkanize it. Everything that is wrong with Nigeria ties back to that. You have to split the country up. Anything else is not going to work.
Don't put us.
Peter Obi is not going to save you.
Don't put us in
Nothing
trouble.
else will work.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Kunle. Yeah, thank you so much. That's Mr. Kunle's opinion, right? Let's get. The other guys have dropped off, so we're just gonna round this baby down. Thank you so much, guys. I had two other guys here. I think they've dropped out, so I was gonna take that as our cue to call the space and just let you guys go enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thank you so much, guys. We've talked today about the census. Our focus has been on how the numbers have been wrong. I gave some numbers at the very top, and that just tells you that whatever we're doing in the name of the census is just a waste of capital, or should we say oil money. The numbers haven't changed from 1952. The northern region, 54% average of all census in Nigeria from 1952 to 1991. Similar for the western region, they've maintained an average 18.7% for all census from 52 to 91. Same thing in the eastern region, they've maintained a 22.7 average for all census from 1952 to 1991. Even when you go to the recent census done in 2006, exactly the same thing. Southwest, no longer regions now. Southwest, 19%, North, 52%, East, 26%, exact same thing, right? So we've called the census in Nigeria an exercise in allocation of numbers and not an actual count. They simply took that 1952 census done by the British and they just add maybe auto spell or auto add Excel sheet, and they give every state a population, and that's it. The problem with that is that it's a maladministration or mal-run of the economy. States like Lagos, states like Delta, states like even Kano, states like Abuja, states that have gotten a lot of population growth have not seen a commensurate increase in federal allocation to them, in house seats, in federal money, in even opportunities for the residents in that state to benefit from the opportunities that they have created because of population. They haven't seen that, that reward come to them. So it's lopsided. If Lagos didn't have the ports and the IGR that they had, it would be a failed state by now. They basically have run that state from their own effort, the IGR, to generate revenues and to run the state. A state like Lagos with the legacy federal project should have been receiving substantial standalone federal grant to just maintain the population in that state, because they have a lot of people flowing from all across Nigeria, but they don't have it because the population figures are completely wrong. Lagos has officially less than 30 local government areas. Kano alone has 44 local government areas. There is no place in Lagos today you can go to and look around and not see a house or road or a car. None in Lagos. But you can do the same everywhere. It has nothing to do with density. It usually has more to do with just that the population of Lagos is clear, apparent. You can reach out and touch it. It's there. There's nothing to count. It's there, right there. But let's leave Lagos and look at a state like Ogun State. Should we also say Ogun State that has also attracted people should not also get commensurate federal resources from states that have allowed their folks to go. People are voting by their feet. If their governors don't do well, they go to where there are opportunities. And this one Nigeria is not doing. Nigeria is at fault because we have put population at 30% of how you get FARC. So the more kids you have, the more money you get from the federal government. So you don't need to be a brain scientist to understand this. If I'm a state governor and I want to get revenues from the federal oil purse, I will simply encourage childbirth, and I will simply encourage that the census maintains my numbers if I'm from a high population state by Nigerian Population Commission. Once I do that, I get money from the federal government, which is wrong. Health is 3%, education 3%, pipeline water 3%, but population 30%. Makes no sense. Why not even cut population down to 10% and allocate health and schools and water population? That would then mean that the state governments will see that if they provide schools and healthcare for the poor Nigerians that live in their state, they get more money. Doesn't it make sense that you reward state governors for building schools and hospitals rather than having babies? That would make perfect sense to me. But we're not doing it. But that's why we're having this spaces. The idea is to give you the information. One of you might know one big guy somewhere that you can run this by, and probably they could run with it. Well, on that note, guys, I think we've done a good job today to pass that information across to you so you can then run with it and hopefully get it changed out somewhere. All right, guys, so this is the end of the space for this week. We're going to be here on Monday morning, 7 a.m., where we do our business paper review. We talk about what's happening in the economy last week and try to do just an economic review for the week, give you guys all started off for the week. My name again is Kalu Aja. Do grab my book on Amazon and Roving Heights. Let's talk about your money. We'll talk about finance, economics, personal finance for you guys, how you can manage your own money. I'm not showing you how to make money, but how you can manage your money. Love you guys, always tuning in here. I do appreciate that you spend your time with me on a Saturday. You've got lots to do, but you choose to spend an hour or two with me. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. On that note, I'll let you guys go on, go watch the World Cup, and let's hope the best team wins. Take care, guys. Take good care of yourselves. Bye.